welcome to the Installer Plaza, sponsored by our very good friends at Vaillant. To reach the government's net zero carbon targets, mass adoption of heat pumps is essential. Now, 2024 was a record year for heat pump installs, but we're still a long way from the 600,000 a year that are required. The UK has thousands of trained, experienced, accredited gas engineers who have a wealth of experience providing heating and hot water to their customers. So what would help them move from gas boilers to heat pumps? Well, I'm delighted to be joined by a group of experts, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves right now, starting at the far end. It's all right, go on, yeah, it'll be...
Hi there, I'm Ian Briggs from IRB Heating. I've been a gas engineer for about 23 years now, based in the Essex area, and yeah, I'm very excited about sort of future possibilities and things like that, so it's a good platform for me to sort of get involved with and have a talk about.
Any platform with you on it is a good platform, Ian, welcome.
Thank you.
That's all right, Emma.
Hi, yeah, I'm Emma Bohan. I'm the MD of IMS Heat Pumps. We install heat pumps. Funny that.
Funny that. It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got an office in Scotland, Perth, and one in just outside Sheffield. Two lots of legislations, two lots of ways of handling grants and funding,
wow, okay.
two lots of consumer messaging, so interesting
and
to see the difference.
5 lots of headaches.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, brilliant.
And we've been doing that since 1997, so...
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Emma M.
I'm Emma Morris. I currently work for Vaillant, fresh to Vaillant, not to the industry. So I was with you guys from Stuart Turner last year, which actually what that did for me enabled me to fight the heat pump world and get to where it was that I wanted to be as far as the heat pump strong boiler V heat pump situation was. So so I'm the renewables regional business manager for Vaillant in the north.
Brilliant, thank you.
My name is Andy Gibbs. I'm a heating installer. I'm based in South London. I've been doing this since... What are you laughing at? Hey? I've been doing this since 1990. It's quite a long time. I like boilers. I don't like heat pumps. And
right, well, let's pull the pin out of the grenade and start. Here we go. It's a bit like having the Spice Girls, Emma M, Emma B, and so on and so forth.
Better than the Spice Girls.
Is Andy Scary Spice?
He's scary everything, to be honest with you.
What's Briggs? What does that mean, Briggs?
Well, right, let's stick to the agenda. How's business been for the last year or so? You changed jobs, actually, as you said. So how are you finding it?
Yeah, brilliant. I was always, as much as I've worked for a couple of different firms, but it was always, that was a path I had to take, because until I could pass my gas engineering, I couldn't do any heat pump training. So what I did, I went down the manufacturing route, the heat geek routes, where I could do training to kind of strengthen my knowledge. I tried to concentrate on the system, not one set manufacturer, until obviously I came to Vaillant. So yes, a whole new change, yet even though it seems like a whole new change, it's not to me, because I carried on the heat pump fight in the middle of that, just to solidify everything and everywhere that I wanted to be. So
right. Ian, what about for you? How's business been the last year?
So for me, it's been, I would say it's slowed down a bit for me, to be honest with you, in the world of boilers and things like that. That's just my personal experience. I know it's different for everyone else. I think Andy's been quite busy, but I've found that, me personally, I've been doing a lot more like servicing and repairs, and I don't know if that's just to do with people not being able to afford things at the moment, so rather than replacing, they're doing repairs. So I found myself being quite busy with that, and my installs have dropped a little bit over the last 12 months. That's what I would notice.
Is that right? Significantly or a little bit?
Well, a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah. I don't want to... Any drops means less money.
Well, of course, but it may have been replaced by something else. I don't know, but... No.
True.
There you are. Emma, what about yourself?
Yeah, so, I mean, IMS heat pumps, we doubled every year from 2020, 21, 22, 23, did 30% last year, on track to probably do the same this year. If it's any view of the future, I've got 4 or 5 positions being advertised as we speak across the offices in Perth, and a new one that we've got in Newcastle as well. So, yeah.
Happy days.
Happy
Drinks are on
days.
you tonight, but I just wonder, is this a trend that you're seeing, and do you think that's going to grow, or is it going to plateau at some stage, do you think?
it's going to plateau when we're doing 100,000.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, right now the trends show that we're doing more heat pumps month on month every year, and more heat pumps year on year every year. I think the direction of traffic, although slower than I think a lot of people would like to see, is very clear. It's just about what do we need to get there faster?
Yeah. Are you generally seeing, throw this question out, are you generally seeing more boilers or more heat pumps, or?
We take boilers out for a living. We've never put a gas boiler in, ever.
Ian, this seems like a good point to come to you. Just so bad, he said. Sorry, not Ian. Andy, yeah. I'm saying
Why would you do that to a boiler? Why would you waste a perfectly good boiler that's still working as well? Just throw it on the land, you know, on the dump.
Scrapman loves them.
So how's business been for you?
Yeah,
Andy?
mine's been okay. I mean, Ian's said he's dropped a bit. Mine's the same, really, same as last year, I would say. I think I've done 35 boilers a year, which is about my average. So pretty good on the whole, yeah. I think mainly it's people trying to get a boiler in while they still can before they have to have a heat pump.
Right, okay.
Which is brilliant.
Well, that leads me on to a question, actually, in terms of the cost of living and materials. Is that having an effect on your customers, and what sort of effect is it having? Who wants to? Emma or Ian? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, definitely. So I think across the board in all industries, I think everyone's noticed a huge increase in cost of materials. And I'll be honest with you, it gets to the point now when I'm sitting at home and I'm writing a quote out, and I look at it and I think,
You're not
wow.
doing that sharp intake of breath.
But I'm doing that to myself.
Yeah,
me
yeah,
looking
exactly.
at my own
So what
quote.
are they doing?
Yes. So I think it's had a huge impact, and I think that kind of falls back into what I was saying about my boiler sales over the last year, because things have gone up, and I think it does have an effect. People don't have the money, so they're doing what they can, I feel, at the moment to try and like patch up what they've got and things like that.
So when you're putting those quotes together and you're thinking, okay, I've got to take this to the customer, what reaction are you getting from them? Because, you know, the natural reaction is, well, mate, you're having a laugh. I mean, what?
I mean, all you can do really is, like, me personally, I base my quotes and stuff on me. So, like, people that come, I don't advertise and things like that. So anyone that comes to me is through recommendation and stuff.
Okay.
So they know, like, it's me that's doing it.
Trust.
And I sell myself. So a lot of the time that's where I get my work, because I can actually sell myself and they know what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it well. So it might be expensive, but sometimes, you know, they know what they're getting with me. They're not rolling the dice, so they will go with it.
I just wonder how often any of you get the question, well, what would you do in this situation? Do you get that question?
Yeah, so I found that in some cases, because I'll deal with a lot of one-off, like I'm sure you do, but it's an element of trust in the system as well. It's not just the cost of materials, it's the fact that it's relatively new and people are more prepared to put bad press out there than good press in a lot of cases. So it's like you're trying to uneducate, to re-educate people on on this system. And rather than come at them with that whole price, if you can kind of break it down to, well, you would need this section if you needed whatever you needed as your heat source. And I think a lot of it is about re-education for me. You know, people are just scared of it, which I think is a little bit of a barrier as well.
Well, I think a lack of knowledge is scary, isn't it? And they're looking to you as experts, if you like, trusted experts. Do you find that as well, Emma?
Absolutely. Trust and expertise is how we sell on our business. About, you know, the experienced installer knowing what they're doing, knowing that we've got hundreds and thousands of customers out there who've all got heat pump systems, and, you know, nobody's on the front page of the Daily Mail having to insulate the house with cardboard and not being able to turn it on. And that's just through the skills of, you know, training, knowledge, learning every day, putting very basic skills that all plumbing and heating guys should have learned at school through their paces in terms of low temperature heating, making sure that those systems are operating in the most efficient manner, and, you know, within that, you are almost guaranteeing today that you're not going to be paying more than gas. Throw in a heat pump tariff and some optimization and you're saving against gas.
Andy, sharp intake of breath, shaking her head.
The whole thing about things that we learn at college that we should straight be able to transfer, I completely disagree. I think it's a different job altogether.
Go on.
I really do think it's like a heart surgeon and a brain surgeon.
It's all surgery though, isn't it?
It is all surgery, but would you want a heart surgeon working on your head?
But you have got so many transferable skills, and I think you do the industry a disservice by saying that it is so different. Actually, you know, when you look at it, it's an outside box with a flow and return.
We've got the skills to put pipes together and shit, right? Sorry.
So we're getting out of the plumbing of the heat pump and into the design.
It's the nerdery, isn't it? It's the geekery that we don't do.
It's the design, and I don't disagree. There is a lack of design
and that's
support.
the bit we haven't got. So how do we do that?
Well, so this is where there is so much innovation happening in the industry at the moment. I mean, if just within 2 minutes of walking here, you can come across 5 different platforms that will help you go to that home, survey it, and pick the right size heat pump, and tell you what size pipes you need to install.
Will they pay for me to do it?
Well, you'll not get a grant to install a gas boiler, will you?
But I know it's going to work at the end of the day nicely.
Yeah, well, so the thing about it is that, you know, just like Emsy's explained there is a lot of training out there. If you're already aligned with Vaillant on gas boilers, or Baxi or Ideal, you know, or Worcester Bosch, these people have already seen the writing on the wall, which is why at the front of their stands now, it used to be a gas boiler and now it's a heat pump. And if you go very far into the back, you might just find the gas boiler on the wall. And these people are taking their installers down that path with them. So all you have to do is put your hand up in the air and say, I'd rather be part of the future.
Wow. Okay, so if anybody's got any questions, comments, yeah, okay, hang on, let me just grab a microphone. Hold on. Let's grab that. Just tell us who you are, where you're from, and hold the microphone nice and close, please.
Yeah, I'm Phil from Lakeview Heating Services down in Plymouth. With regards to
nice and close.
With regards to the manufacturers having heat pumps, are they not doing that because the government's going to fine them millions of pounds if they don't sell so many heat pumps against their gas boilers?
Well, Vaillant moved into this market in about 2020, and the clean heat market mechanism wasn't even someone's wet dream at that point. So I don't think that is the answer. However, the writing is on the wall. The clean heat market mechanism does ask them to do a certain percentage of heat pumps against boilers. What we haven't got yet, but what will come, which will make all of the difference, is a date for the end of the gas boiler when Andy will do the last one in that house, and the next one will have to be some kind of heat pump. What we're saying in terms of the future now, you know, Andy will probably make a handsome living for the rest of his working days looking after those gas boilers. But if your son is looking for a job, are you going to say to him, why don't you go and train to be a blacksmith and change these horses' horseshoes while he watches the Model T Fords flying past him on the highway? It's not the job for the next generation of heating engineers.
No, but I think the Model T Ford's gone and been replaced by the horses again, because obviously we've got electric vehicles. You've got electric vehicles, electric heating, electric lighting. You know, you come home from work at 5 o'clock in the winter, plug in your car, turn on your lights, turn on the kettle, off go the lights. There's not enough energy in the infrastructure.
Or Putin just decides to stop giving us gas, and then we're buggered as well. So,
well,
you know,
way,
and the irony, and again, get it quite a lot, you know, well, what happens if you don't get any electricity? Well, your gas boiler doesn't work either, because it's plugged into the electric to make it work.
Yeah, fair shout. With heat pumps, obviously it works on refrigerant gas. What if some boffin that advises the government decides that the new refrigerant gases are now bad for the atmosphere, like they did back in the 90s when you had to change all your refrigerators?
Yeah, and that's still ongoing, actually. It's part of the conversation the industry is having. R410A is gone. R32, which is in a lot of manufacturers' heat pumps are out there now. That has got the writing on the wall. So you've got R290, which is the next generation, which most of the big names have moved to already. So those kind of conversations are happening. Actually, there's innovation going on where heat pumps are being innovated and thought around that don't need refrigerant gas. So what we're doing today and what we're going to be doing in 50 years' time could be two entirely different things. Somebody might have invented, you know, the blink and heat your house model by that point.
No, fair play.
Thank you. Just before we get to, and pardon the pun, heated on this, I wonder whether we should change the subject to maybe politics or religion. It seems as though it might be a bit easier. Let me pass you that back. You were waiting to jump in there. Well, you can't. Well, no, that's 4 pints in. So look, the question we're kind of answering is, what will it take to convert gas engineers to heat pumps? So discuss. What will it take?
Ian, well, I mean, me and you, right? We go and fit boilers. What's it going to take for us to do it? What would it?
Well, I mean, personally, I do have an interest in it because I've always said that I would kind of know when it was time. And I think like for the previous years, I thought, no, I'm okay. I'm okay with the boilers. They're still okay. But I think now I'm probably at the point where.
Do you know we had those 2 beers earlier?
Controversial.
They've gone to your head,
I
haven't
haven't
they?
had no beers yet.
These
But
two
yeah, no, I feel
bookends.
like I'm at the
Two
point. I'm at the point where it's like I want to start getting into that world because it's obviously it's not going away anywhere. It works. I've seen loads of people doing it. I know it works. It's just for me personally now. What it's going to be is it's going to be how I get into it. That's what I need to find out. That's what I need to do. All the training, all the pathways, and that kind of thing.
I mean, sort of, for me, I mean, I'm too old now. There's no point. There's literally no point. I'm 52. I've only got another 10 years left, then I'm going to retire. So why bother wasting my time doing it? But for Ian, yeah, you're younger than me, aren't you? You're quite a bit younger than me, so you might as well do it.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? Because some of the, let's say, more experienced installers rather than older installers, but those who've got maybe 10 or less years so why would they want to change?
I'm going to say that there's probably no compunction right now. You know, I'm sat here saying, you know, why would a chap who's probably got 25 years worth of boiler services, names and addresses in his back book, and who gets 35 boilers sent to him every year to change, you know, with his many amount of holidays, he's got one a week for the rest of the year. Why
He
would,
has topped
why
up the tan
would
recently.
You?
You can see.
Yeah, you can see, can't you? Why would you? But what we need for the industry, and these are the things that, you know, are going to persuade more people like Ian to get involved, are better training routes, so a clearer plan to get you in, because it is a bit of a minefield at the moment. I believe that there is things that the government should be doing in terms of paid to train. You know, people cannot afford to come off a job for, you know, 2-3 weeks and maybe pay for hotels and training courses to get into a new job when you've got a family.
This is something we talked about last year with Simon. Even if we got a tax break,
for sure.
You know, because we're going to lose money, it's going to cost us money.
But isn't this something we talk about every year? And we
do,
say
and it
next
never
year we're
goes
going to
anywhere.
talk about it again, and it doesn't go away.
I think ultimately, you'll probably agree with this, Emma, as well. The only way you can actually make it happen is by setting a date in stone of 2035 or 2040, and you will not be able to have a boiler after that time.
I'm a big believer, and I say this a lot, if you build it, they will come. You know, if you've got a gas guy who's, you know, I hate heat pumps and I ain't never doing them, or every second customer says, can I have a heat pump? Oh, you don't, oh, I'll go over here then. Well, what are you going to do? Then you're going to train to be a heat pump installer, whether you get paid to do it or not.
So, actually, it's a really good question. If someone says to you, I want a heat pump, you say, no, you don't, mate.
No, I'd give them to someone else. I would. I'd pass them to Ian.
Would you? Yeah. So, Ian, you say, training. Have you, go on, talk to me about training in terms of...
So, I mean, it is like what we said once again. If we do start doing training, obviously we're not at work, so we are losing money. It's costing us money.
Yeah.
But it's also, it is an investment, isn't it? You've got to invest into your future. Like Andy says, I might have a few more years left doing it than he does. So, but it's the technology and everything advances. And if it is a platform that just does work for people and we can make it accessible to people, then why not do it? But that's just what it is for me. It is training. I know like Vaillant and everyone, they have their own platforms and stuff, their own pathways to do it. But it's just a case of actually getting us on to do it to begin with. And then for like, just trying to clearly understand the steps we need to take, the routes we can take, because you can either go the full MTS or there's umbrella schemes, and there's a difference between that. And depending on what type of company you are, might sway which way you go with it. So there's quite a lot of variables, but it's just time and understanding, and you've got to make the conscious decision to actually want to do it.
Yeah. So, Emma M, let me bring you in here. Go on. What
I was just going to say, Vaillant have kind of concentrated on that side of making it as easy as... I can't speak for any other manufacturer because I've not looked at their training platform. But Vaillant have what's called the Aspire training platform. So it takes you at your pace. It can take you down an MCS route, which is your first option. It can take you down your umbrella scheme, and then it'll do your third option, which will take you down a progressive route at your own pace. So it's online and it's modular. So I feel like one of the things for me when I started out was the lack of education and the lack of training. Because I was doing my gas engineering when I started this game, I couldn't get any training. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous that me, somebody who wants to work in heat pump design, can't get any decent system design training. And from there on, I have absolutely pushed the design and the support and the training side. And I honestly think that Vaillant have got it nailed with the training. For me as a manufacturer, you know, they're doing it at the engineers on pace. They'll teach a company, not just the people that are outfitting, but they'll teach a company how to talk about this when they're speaking to people.
Yeah, and interestingly, anybody here who's thinking about getting into heat pumps, if you go and find Nesta down there, they'll give you one for free that you can install in your own home, so you can learn all about it. You can fiddle with. Oh, you might have one.
Does it come with a free blanket so I can still be warm in the winter?
Extra cardboard for you to insulate your bedroom. No, Nesta have got a really great scheme where it's called Start at Home. And because it's overcoming one of the MCS barriers, which is you need to install one in order to get accredited to be MCS. And that can be a big barrier. So what they do is they give you one for free for you to install at home so that you can, at your own pace, get involved with that particular heat pump. And there's a lot of different manufacturers within that program. Trial and error. And then you can, you know, upgrade your radiators one at a time, do it at the weekend, do it over months while you're insulating your bedroom in cardboard, you know, saving up for your extra expensive Christmas bills. But, you know, it's a really great model
it's a great way
to get
be,
involved with. And you know, who's giving away free heat pumps? Well, Nesta, if you don't install them yet.
Ian, what's your response to that?
Vaillant are also doing the same thing.
There you are.
So it is a...
Other manufacturers are available.
I think it is, but it's an interesting way to do it. I think it's a good idea. If the manufacturers can support you as an installer in that platform, like, because at your own home you've got your own pace. It is like you say.
But you've got to understand the system. You've got to understand
You can do whatever you need to do, because it's not just putting a heat pump outside and connecting the pipes up. It's all the control side of it. It's all the settings and, you know, the flow rates of the system. There's a lot to it. It's not just like what a lot of people do now, just stick a boiler in and away you go. It's you've got to fine tune that system
you can't hide behind high temperatures.
No. You have to get that system designed spot on.
And this, the Nesta program specifically was trialled up in Scotland, so a lot of the SNIFF members who are transitioning from gas into heat pumps were a part of it, and I think the statistics from that have gone from, you know, X people who did the theoretical training, £500 grant, went on to install heat pumps, which was not very many, but the people who've installed the heat pumps through this program, you know, like 80% are now confident and are happy to install those. So it really is a great stepping stone to get into the market.
Brilliant. Anybody else got any questions or comments before we move on? Yes, let me grab this one. It's a good way of stopping him talking as well. It's really...
Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm also from Lakeview Heating Services. I'm an apprentice gas engineer.
Just close. Just hold that really close.
Yeah. My question is, Emma, you mentioned about the schemes and grants that can come from the government. A lot of people struggle to afford just one boiler. Heat pumps can be triple that. What would be the solution for that?
Well, so you have to start breaking the consumers down into demographics. If you're social housing, if you're on low incomes, then there are grants out there specifically for you. Eco4, there's going to be a review of that in autumn. A new version of Eco once RD SAP 10. Lots of jargon. Changes to the EPC that mean heat pumps make the bigger difference to your EPC than a gas boiler does at the moment. That should make a difference for those. And then you've got your kind of what I call what is known as the able to pay market, which is people who are able to pay. I think what we're missing is the finance piece for the people who are in the able to pay market but aren't able to pay. And right now there is a lot of, again, innovation in the space in terms of lease models and heat as a service. So, you know, you go buy a mobile phone, it costs you 35 quid. It includes, you know, unlimited text and data. But that 35 quid is also paying for the fact that you haven't had to lump out £2 grand up front to get the latest model. And there's similar things like that with heat pumps that are being trialled and tested. You know, yes, there are grants out there, but it does depend on the type of property, and there are things you can do to lessen that big lump. And if you haven't got a date for the gas boiler to be off the wall, then, you know, slowly but surely, you know, a radiator a year, a couple of £100 quid, let's upgrade that, you know. Have you got double glazing? You know, there's things that you can do that means that when you come to put that heat pump in, you're not having to spend all the additional money to do the whole job at the same time. We are also seeing more price competitive models come into the market. so it's horses for courses. You know, one of my favourite sayings is, I go to B&M Bargains and buy a microwave for $29.99, or I go to John Lewis and spend 1,500 quid on a microwave. They both ping me dinner, you know, but what do you want? So, you know, there's heat pumps out there that are still coming with great warranties. They probably haven't got a sophisticated control. You can't nerd your way through them, or, you know, look at your scops online and proclaim yourself king of the scops, but it'll still heat your home and it'll still provide you with the hot water. So, you know, there are a lot more price-conscious products coming to the market.
It also just seems like there's a lot of added extras that needed to be used with a heat pump. So like triple sizing your radiators, changing your windows, that is unnecessary things. So why should...
It's not necessarily unnecessary. If you think about the fact that, you know, we haven't looked at our homes just in general for years. So unless you are, you know, a diligent homeowner who continues that service and maintenance of your own home, upgraded your windows, changing your roof, you know, for whatever reason, those things are going to help you whether you've got a gas boiler or a heat pump, because you're going to use less gas, it's going to run more efficiently. I laugh about radiators. I've lived in properties. That radiator's been on the wall since the first gas system was put in. It's been painted 72 times, and God help what's inside it. You know, is it time we started having a quick look at them if you've still got one hidden behind the back of your sofa? If you can afford to do it, is £200, it depends what's affordable. You know, what do we class as able to pay? And that becomes a really subjective conversation then.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you. MRM, you mentioned earlier, I think I'm right in saying thanks for that, umbrella schemes. Good way of starting to get a heat pump experience?
It is. I think there's a lot of changes coming through the ranks at the minute of simplifying that, because I think it's always been quite a complicated... I say, again, it's you know, divisional. Some people understand it, some people don't, and it could be a way to put people off. We've now got umbrella schemes where they will help you do that heat loss. They will train you to fill in every piece of paperwork that you need. Rather than do that for you, they're actually training you to do that.
So
and
you've
they're
got the skill
helping you
then
do
to
that.
do it,
So
yeah.
you've got the skill to hopefully progressively go on and do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Some people hear the word umbrella scheme and automatically just think that it's 4 or 5 months of headache is where it's come from. But this, I mean, we're supported by EcoFuture, Vito Energy, and it's just, these guys are here to support because they see the need in the industry to take you on a journey and, you know...
Isn't it, ultimately, it's a reframe, isn't it? It's to make it easier for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think everything's becoming easier. I think we're realising where it's complicated and where people are struggling within the industry, and we're improving on that. And we're improving on that at quite a fast rate to make sure that people understand what they're doing. It's the only way it can go. People have to understand how to do it well, and that's the only way we're going to win.
Yeah. Emma, you're going to...
But it's building on the inherent skill set of the plumbing and heating engineers and what they can do well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you enter the plant room in order to fill out 500 bits of paper on every install? Probably not. No. And so these various schemes exist. So, you know, like Clayton Brown's H-Pin, they do the design. You just put a price on it and go and install it. You know, that piece is taken away from you.
So who signs it off at the end of it?
They do.
Because I know he's really bad at paperwork.
So
he does an amazing job, but off his back skills, we haven't got them.
Yeah, so H-Pin sign that off at the end of it. You know, they come out, they make sure that you've done it right, and it's on their dollar. And a Heat Geek, you know, if you want to be joining the Heat Geek brethren, then they've got an umbrella green, Vito, Energy, Patrick Wheelers. Yeah. There are so many different ways that umbrella schemes can work for installers. Those who've got a great wife who sits at home and does all their administration, or husband, then, you know, that they can go down that paperwork route. But again, some of the people around here are dealing with that paperwork. You know, you just put in some basic information and click, you're MCS compliant.
There's an awful lot of paperwork, a lot of back office stuff. Customers don't like paying for the time we are on site, do they? Let's be honest, right? You've only been here an hour. How's it 90 quid, right? How are you getting them to pay for the 6 or 7 hours you're not on site?
Andy, it may just be you that gets that comment.
It isn't. It definitely isn't.
It's kind of enveloped into a job that this is what you're going to pay. With that will come your design. With that will come your on-site visits and things like that. But it's like I say, EcoFuture was with those guys only a few weeks ago, and the support that they offer, I know more about them than I do others. I'm not saying other people in the industry aren't offering that, but the support that they're offering is phenomenal. I wanted to go off and fit a heat pump. I'd have had a heat pump off the back of it. I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And that's it. I think if people just look a little bit closer and a little bit further into the industry, they'll find there's so much help out there now. Yeah. And even in the last year, you've seen that jump by 50%. People are realising what's needed to bring you guys, you guys,
He's just dropped the mic. Drop the mic.
People are realising what we need to bring you guys, because you've got this skill set. You know, it's an unvented system. You've got a different heat source. You're all good at that. You know, bring it over, apply it.
Let me ask you a question, Andy. And we've already discussed maybe you're going to go on for another 10 years or so. But if you were to take on an apprentice now or an assistant, what would you advise them?
Yeah, definitely. I'd tell them to go and they could go and do the renewable courses. Definitely, straight away.
Yeah.
Because there's no money left in gas in 25 years.
It's been a great business for you.
Fantastic, mate. Loved it.
Yeah.
Every single minute of it.
But then you understand and
it's not going to be there forever.
Right.
But we don't know how long it is going to be there for, so...
I mean, there were dinosaurs around once, and there's only a couple left now. But I just... No, but I mean, so it's not as if you're dead against it. It's like...
No, I'm not against it. For me, it's not work. There's no point. There's absolutely no point. But if one of my sons, luckily they don't want to get into any of the heating industry, but if one of them did, I'd send them to college, or actually I'd ring up Emma and Elise to...
Right. Okay, so just...
Get down there and learn it.
Anybody else, any questions or comments? Oh, we go, because I'm going to kind of wrap it up to a certain extent. I just want to, looking ahead the next 12 months, Ian, I'll start with you. How do you see it for the business, for your business and for the business?
So I'm going to try my best to sort of get into it a little bit more. I actually done my first heat pump job about 2 weeks ago.
How was it?
And that was they was here a minute ago, Will and Lizzie. There they are over there. That's a local company, and this is a sort of different avenue perhaps that you can...
Was he all right, Will and Lizzie? Was he okay? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay.
So, but yeah, they done all the hard stuff. I just went and done the pipe work. But for me, it was a really good opportunity to get in there, learn, get amongst it.
Was it an eye-opener for you?
Well, it's kind of like what we were saying.
Was it a no-brainer?
It's like, some people say it's just a heat-only boiler or something outside, and then you can, just connect the pipes together. But it's the system design, and there's subtleties and different bits to it, and different options for doing it for different systems. And they're the things that you need to kind of learn and get right for the system to work. But I mean, like Will and Lizzie was telling me, like loads of stuff, and I found it actually really interesting. But I think it goes like a layer deeper as well, in the fact of like, if you can then obviously start getting like PV and things like that, solar on the roof, like that can take care of other things, and there's a lot to it. So it is quite different, but I'm going to try and get into it. And I've got another job that's come through, which I've sort of put through to them guys. They're going to go and do the legwork and then pass it back to me, kind of thing.
So you get the glory at the end.
Well, we'll see. But it's yeah. But so like I'm keen to get involved and keen to get started. But I still need to do a lot of work myself on training courses and all of that. But obviously, I'm still going to do my normal gas work in the meantime, because that's what pays my bills at the moment. So but.
Emma, what about yourself? In the next 12 months, how do you touched on it earlier, sort of keep going exponentially?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the raison d'etre of the company is install more heat pumps. We are going to be launching solar PV and batteries, because that becomes, part of that holy triangle that makes, the home a lot more cheaper to run.
Yep.
As a starter for 10. So that's going to be a new thing for IMS. Which should be coming to an IMS near you, August 2025. But yeah, I mean, I said one heat pump a day.
Do you think people are just something come to my mind there, that people are seeing short-term investment for long-term saving? Are people understanding that point?
It's a difficult question to ask. We get asked about return on investment all the time. Does anybody do return on investment on a 40 grand kitchen? Does anybody do return on investment of a Maserati that they drive? But we are talking high cost items here, and so people do want to say. What we are seeing now with the systems that are out there optimised and their heat pump tariffs, you are saving money. It's like a guarantee.
Right.
Interesting, we don't have this same conversation with solar PV, even though your ROI can be the same 25-year payback, it's because, you know, yes, you've just dumped 8 grand on a system, but from day one you go, ooh, 28p, ooh, 28p, plug my kettle in for free, 28p, and even, you know what I mean, it's just that, it's that kind of thing. It's just something that we're going to get used to. It's a different way of working.
And some people will calculate it on a weekly basis. Look what we've done this week. Brilliant. Emma, now 12 months ago you were in a different job. You're going to be in the same job this time next year?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But for the next 12 months, what's it look like for you, do you think?
I mean, obviously, as a manufacturer, people will just look at us as kind of selling boilers, selling heat pumps and everything. But actually,
you're selling a dream, surely.
Selling the dream, but actually what we're doing is massively pushing the support and the training in the industry. So obviously for us, it's converting those gas engineers to air source renewable engineers, and that's more what it looks like for us than just a sell. So hopefully we'll be sat with 700 more heat pump engineers that we've converted over the next 12 months.
Well, I can tell you who one of them won't be. Andy.
Definitely won't be me,
no. Taking this as a win.
I'm quite proud of that as well.
Do you know what? Could I just say as well, Ian hit on a perfect example. It doesn't have to be a full hit situation. It can be so progressive. I've got a combi boiler and we've just put underfloor heating in that's designed for an air source heat pump. We've upsized little bits of pipes as we've gone, and you know, you can do it progressively if you do a little bit of housework and things like that. You know, you can improve your system as you go, and then you're not left with that full hit transformation towards the end. It doesn't have to be that all-encompassing, massive full hit.
Is it a Vaillant combi boiler?
Yeah.
Well, what a coincidence.
I'm
Andy,
out.
I'm going to ask you, because, well,
Go on.
This is year 10. You'll
Mate,
be
been a
here
long
at
time.
year
I'll be here
20,
next-
probably.
Yes, mate. Absolutely. Even when I've retired.
What will your legacy? What would it be? What do you think? What do you want it to be?
I
He
don't
went
know what my
kicking and
legacy-
screaming.
Yeah, I think
as
I
a gas
just
man.
someone will remember me. Just one person will remember me for
I
being.
don't think anyone will ever forget you, to be quite honest. But there you are.
I'll be quite happy about that.
Well, listen, thank you.
It's a pleasure, Dave,
Really
as
great.
ever.
Is there anybody a final question or comment before we lose them? Because they'll be around anyway. You're going to hang around because at 4 o'clock in 20 minutes, we've got the World Plumbing Conference kick-off party here on the stand. So if you want to stay and have a beer, I know it's unlike you, but if you wanted to, then you're more than welcome to. But in the meantime, would you please give it up for our panel? Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.